Whoa! Boy, we are back together again. We had so much fun the first time we decided to bring our best buddies back, Joyce. What's Good with John and Joyce is sponsored by Woodwinds Wedding and Special Events venue in Brantford, Connecticut, and Silvio's award-winning Italian sauces, which you can buy anytime online at silviosauces.com. That's silviosauces.com. Welcome to another hopefully rousing edition of What's Good with John and Joyce, available on all the streaming platforms. I'm John Cadillac Seville from iHeartRadio, and I got my friend Joyce Logan with me as well. We teamed up on this thing a while back, but we've had so much fun doing this. And just think about it. We got together in a coffee shop last spring or summer, and I said, I want to do a podcast. And Joyce said, me too. And then we almost at the same time said, let's do one together. There we go. And now what's going on here? We're doing that show, and it's just been
we're going to keep doing it.
It's been an absolute joy to be working with you, Joyce. So again, Sharon, welcome back. Joyce's best buddy, JC, my best buddy here, hanging out, and it's just been a blast. So the first time we got together, we kind of pretty much introduced you guys, let you know how we met you and how important your friendship has been. Now we're going to talk about the importance of wellness. And when you have a really good friend, that can really help your health.
Yeah, sure.
When you have somebody in your life that really makes you feel good, makes you laugh, but also tells you what you need to hear sometimes when you don't want to hear it. And that's important.
Yes. Years ago, a psychiatrist that I knew said to me, he was dealing with a tough case. And I also do therapy work. And he said to me, if people just had one good friend that they can really do talk therapy with, because that's what a lot of people just need. They need someone to hear them and someone not to judge them and to let them express themselves. He said, half the time people wouldn't need to come to me if they had that one friend. And that stuck with me throughout the many, many years since he said that. And I thought how true that is.
That's a really good point, Joyce. And again, it's very freeing. We had said this in our first episode together, but it's very freeing. It's very empowering to have that friend, and just knowing that you could pick up the phone and call them or meet with them for a cup of coffee and just put it all out there and know that they're just going to be there for you without, again, judging you.
But I also want to address the people who maybe have lost their friends. Maybe you're a little older in life. Maybe you had a couple of good friends who are no longer around, or they moved, or something happened, and it's not over. Don't sit there alone. You can make a new friend and have that bond, almost just as deep. It doesn't matter that you can't reminisce about, the old days. You can hear their story from the old days. You could, share with them. Like John, you and I were speaking about, some people get together and they bond about aches and pains because they had the same operation.
There's a coffee shop I go to every now and then. That same group of people, 3 or 4 people, and they talk about the aches and pains, and that's whatever. But they seem to be having fun talking about their aches and pains.
Yeah, what did you do about that knee? Yeah.
And let me tell you about my med that I'm on today. Well.
I say the same thing. I can recall as a kid, talking about our fun and our games and parties and things that we're going to share together that's going to be positive and fun. And now we talk about what medications that they're on, or what we do to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I'm blessed. I have very, very good genetic background. My mother made it to almost 105.
Yeah.
All right.
She was amazing. She wasn't sick. She didn't die from an illness. She just went to sleep and didn't wake up.
Oh, and, what a beautiful
yeah, and we were all with her too. It was just a terrific thing.
Yes.
So when people would ask her secret, she would always say, Olay and red wine. And so I'm good with the red wine. Anyway, I just started using a product on my skin also that really kind of helps and makes a big difference because I feel better. And I am dealing with a company that John knows very well that we eat the right things. They teach us all the right vitamins to take and products to use to stay clean and healthy without affecting our bodies in any negative way. And I certainly, over the past years, have lost friends that probably weren't too careful with themselves and with their behavior and some of the food that they eat, or many people are on a lot of medications, and maybe they don't have to be if they are dealing with their bodies the right way. So
Very true.
I've been blessed that way, that's for sure.
And Joyce, you and I talk about that a lot because we really are into the fitness and wellness realm, as well about that. We are what we consume.
Yes.
We are what we read, we are what we eat, and we talk about our, regime in the morning, so to speak. I mean, our regiment in the morning. And I know I like to get up in the morning and do my prep for work.
Well, I don't get up early to do what he does.
No, but you do. But prep for work.
I'd have to do what you do.
I do it at night.
But I'll do my Pilates, I'll do my
exercise.
yoga, I do my breathing exercises before I hit the gym. Very, very strict with nutrition. And it's really served me well over the years, too. And I see a lot of my peers, and they'll see me all the time and say, how do you do it? I haven't seen you in 20 years, and you haven't, you look the same. I mean, what do you do? And like you said, James, a lot of it's genetics, but it's also about what you do, keeping a positive attitude, making the right choices, at least most of the time. You don't have to be a purist, but you're also going to attract people. We
like-minded people. Right.
And you're going to attract those people. So if you lost a friend or whatever, you're going to make a whole bunch of new friends by putting yourself out there. And they can be great conversations, not necessarily about the meds you're taking, but about music or about what's going on with your favorite TV shows.
Yeah. What movies did you see?
What movies did you go see? Talk about positive things. What are you going to go see on the green, a concert that night? It could be about uplifting things.
Positive attitude is essential.
It is.
I think, life is about 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you deal with it.
How you respond to it. Excellent.
Exactly.
I'm so glad you said that, because it made me realize that our conversation, Sharon, it's never negative.
No.
Even if it starts out with, oh, this happened, we always end up laughing about something.
Pretty much.
I mean,
or we find the humor in...
We find the humor in the situation.
I mean, probably we shouldn't on some of them, but for the most part, it's like, we have to laugh about it. I think that I'd rather laugh than cry.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you laugh so hard you are crying.
You do cry.
But in
Absolutely.
a good way. But JC, every time we get together, as couples, we never ever talk about aches and pains or any of that. We're always talking about joyful things.
I don't have any
No.
aches or pains.
No,
to
same
speak
here.
of. I mean, really, I'm blessed.
Yeah, good for you, Sharon. Yeah.
Right.
And spiritually, that's another story. I mean, that really keeps you focused on staying healthy, because a spiritual mind is a pretty healthy mind. And I'm very fortunate to be part of a church in my town, Guilford, that has been a blessing to me for the last 30 years. And I enjoy it very much. That's the Shoreline Vineyard Church. And it's a small church.
Pastor Chris.
Non-denominational church that I love it. I enjoy it very much. And spiritually, it just keeps your mind and your mind healthy, and your body just follows.
And Sharon, I know you're in the same church that you got married in.
I am, and that was and it's a different building from where the church started. The church started in New Haven on Dixwell Avenue. It used to be, I believe, a fish market, and then it was converted by the first minister, and then moved to Hamden, and then because they have 2 buildings, and there was one that was smaller. When they decided it was time for a larger sanctuary, they added it on to, and now it's a great place to be.
What's the name of the church?
Christian Tabernacle.
I'll give it a shout out.
Pastor Keith King. Yes. Love him. Yeah. Love him.
I got to share something about Sharon's wedding, if I may.
Absolutely.
Was that when you were dancing on the table, Joyce, that time?
No, not that one.
No, not that. That was another time.
Another
Listen. So, so at your wedding, I'm one of the bridesmaids. We'll insert that picture, into this, into this segment.
Okay.
And Sharon's mother was the classiest woman, Evelyn, and she was right on top of everything. So, as one of the bridesmaids, I was the only white bridesmaid.
A lighter
complexion.
complected person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Evelyn wanted everything to match, and I had bought the wrong size pearl earrings.
Oh.
And she said, no, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, because she meant like everything down to the detail had to be matching as we walked down the aisle with these lovely gray dresses. And she said, and your stockings have to match. They have to be this color. So I got that color, and we're all standing there, and she looked me up and down, and I said, Evelyn, there's nothing I can do about the color of my legs. I cannot change that.
Yeah. But again, laughter.
No, that was just was just so funny.
Yes.
And then it was your grandmother, that was sitting there, and she was so kind.
She was, she was a wonderful lady.
Right.
Wonderful lady.
Right.
And I was her first grandchild.
Oh, you were the
and
golden
therefore
one
the
then.
favorite.
Forget it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could do no wrong.
That's my claim to fame.
Right.
But Joyce, you were saying before about, some people can be very lonely that are watching this right now, and they wish they had someone in their life. But you have to really kind of put yourself out there a little bit.
You do. You have to be a friend to someone.
Exactly. So and they're so easy with social media now, or just going out to church functions or functions you see listed on social boards or whatever. Just put yourself out there. There's so many opportunities to make a friend. And somebody's looking for you, too. Somebody is looking for you. You still have a lot to offer. That's why God breathed breath into your lungs this morning, that you have a purpose, right?
Well, I lost my wife about 16 years ago, and I was celibate for a while. I hung around with some bachelor guys at a beach house in Madison and living pretty large by myself, and I was okay. I didn't date. And I have a client that was selling advertising, and he came in one day and was talking to me about buying an ad. And he said, there's a girl that I work with. He says, I think she'd be a good match for you. I said, Don, I'm not interested in a relationship. Thank you. I said, my wife passed away 3 years ago. I'm living large with a bachelor guys at a pad on the beach in Madison. Happy. I'm good. Leave me alone. I just think that she'd be a good fit in your life. I said, thank you, I'll call you. But I bought the ad. Well, a few weeks goes by, and I run into Don's wife. And she says, oh, hi, how you doing? I said, great. I said, she says, by the way, did you ever go and meet Nikki? Oh, I said, darn, I forgot to send that check for that ad. She said, perfect opportunity. Why don't you just go ahead and go home and get a check? Now, it was a hot July afternoon. I was not looking to try to impress anyone in any way. Shorts, flip-flops. So I go home, grab a check, and I run over to where she works, and I walk in. I only see her employer. I don't see her right away. But he says, can I help you? And I said, well, I'm here to see Nikki. I figured she gets the check. I didn't know. I could have just handed him the check, but the Lord had something to say about that. So she pokes her head out from behind a little petition, and she says, can I help you? And she looked at me, and I said, wow. I said, Don told me you were nice, but he didn't tell me you were gorgeous.
Wow.
So she laughed. She's very quick, and she came right back, and she said, well, that's a good one. She said, if you got another one, I'll put the boots on right now.
Wow.
I said, no, seriously. He told me that you wouldn't mind fooling around with a hairdresser from Guilford. So now she knows a little bit about me because he told her about me also.
Yeah.
So she says, you're funny. I said, funny ha-ha or funny strange? I said, I don't know. She said, I haven't figured that out.
Yet.
I haven't figured that out yet.
I like her.
She's very pointed. She's great.
Right to the point.
No BS.
I said, listen, they have this jazz on Sunday nights at the Thai restaurant at Guilford. I said, I'd like to take you. She says, I love Thai food. I'd like to go. I said, how about Sunday? She says, well, I can't. I have a family commitment. She says, why don't we do something next week, following Sunday? And I said, well, I can't. I'm going to be out of town. So I said, well, we'll make a date for 3 weeks. She says, I'll meet you there. Very safe, So now after 3 years, I'm finally interested in somebody to spend some time with. So we make this date for 3 weeks. But I'm puzzled because I'm excited about seeing somebody new. And I called her the next day on some pretense about the advertisement. And she's explaining it to me. And as she's explaining, I said, Nikki, that's not really why I called you. I don't want to wait 3 weeks to see you. Give me a day this week that you're available. She said, well,
Aw.
I could be available on Saturday night. I said, great. I said, do you like Italian food? She says, I love Italian food. Terrific. I pick you up, say 6:30, and we'll make a reservation at a nice restaurant. She says, well, why don't you come at 6? She says, we'll have a glass of wine. Now, wait a minute. Yesterday, I'll meet you there.
Now a
But
glass
today,
of wine half hour early?
she's inviting me into her home. Well, of course, women on a first get to meet somebody for the first time and got a date with somebody. What do? They go home, call their best friend, and start asking questions.
Yeah.
Well, she did a little survey and found out that he's got a little business in town, and he lost his wife a few years ago, but he's a nice guy. He's not a creep.
Yeah.
So she's comfortable enough to invite me into her home. I show up with a bottle of wine and a dozen roses.
Oh, wow.
We had a lovely evening.
Yeah.
We went to a nice Italian restaurant in New Haven. Afterwards, we went for a lovely walk on the beach in Madison, and under a moonlit August sky, I kissed her.
You can't.
And I
make
haven't
this
stopped
up.
kissing her since.
Yeah.
Hallmark movie.
Thanks.
Hallmark movie.
Absolutely.
Hallmark movie.
It is. It is.
So
That's an
And they've been together ever since.
That.
And we socialize with them all the time. They're just a wonderful couple.
love.
we're together 13 years.
13 years.
We're engaged.
Yeah, they've
For
been
12.
engaged for 13 years. When are you going to friggin' make it legal?
Well, you know.
See?
Go to your church.
Just want to be
Yeah.
sure.
Put a ring on it.
That's right. Put a ring on it. Exactly.
Well, she does have a ring.
I'm sure she does.
I didn't ask her to marry me, but I asked her if she would be my girl for the rest of my life.
And the bottom line is you guys are together. Whatever you decide to do.
Whatever works.
Absolutely.
That's
So-
beautiful.
So there's somebody in my life that keeps me healthy and vice versa.
And look
What's the
that
matter
smile.
with my friends? No one ever says, well, I got someone for you to meet, Joyce. My husband passed away 5 years ago, and everyone just looks at me like, I think you're past the age limit or something.
No.
Oh, no.
Never all.
I don't feel that way.
No.
My
You're ageless.
my mom remarried at age 81.
There's still
Oh,
there's still
wow.
time for us.
There's still time.
See,
Yeah.
my father,
You don't want to get
God's not going to let you.
No, I know.
God's not going to let you settle.
Hmm?
God's not going to let you settle,
Right,
right? You shouldn't have to settle.
right.
See, well, I like when people meet people the way your friend said you should meet this person. Rather than, I know a lot of people are afraid to go online because, you don't know what you're getting. You don't really know. But if a friend says this person is a good guy or a
good
great
fit
woman,
or-
yeah,
You trust
I could
that.
see-
You trust that reference.
absolutely, you trust that.
well, my dad passed away 3 years prior, and he was 10 years older than Mom. So we started to see signs of depression with Mom, and we suggested that she go to Florida for the winter because she'd had some widowed friends down there. And we thought that would be a nice environment for her. Well, a couple of weeks later, she decided to go. A couple of weeks later, she calls me, and she says, the lady upstairs wants to meet this man. I said, meet this man? She says, you know me, I loved your father. I can't be bothered with a relationship at this stage of the game. I'm 81. I don't need a man in my life. I said, Mom, relax. If the guy's a jerk, you never have to see him again. If he's a nice man, somebody to have a conversation with once in a while. You're not going to marry him. Well, 10 months later, they were married.
Wow.
On
Never
Friday,
say
on Friday the 13th.
This.
And the man worshipped the ground she walked on. They were married for nearly 20 years. He died at age 99, and Mom made it for another 4.5 years after that.
And I'm sure that had a lot
They
to do
did.
with it.
They did. It was
Best
wonderful.
story I've ever heard.
Really?
I love that.
Really.
It gives you hope, doesn't it? And that's what it's all
Yes.
about. It's all about hope. Right?
And again, she was introduced to somebody through a friend, and it was just, it started out as a friendship, and before you know it, it was, they got married on Friday the 13th,
Wow.
and it
I
was
love it.
very special.
Love it.
It was wonderful.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And they kept each
He told her every day
But
how
they
much he
kept
loved her.
each other alive with that too, with that special love.
It was wonderful. It was a blessing, a real blessing
Yes.
for
As
her.
a son, you'd love to see that.
Oh, absolutely. I was her best man.
Wow.
Oh, James, it just keeps getting better. This
It's a beautiful story.
it really is.
Yeah.
And I think because I had such a great husband and great relationship, and someone who told me every day that he loved me, until he didn't know who I was. He had early onset Alzheimer's. But like, I think you mentioned it once, John, it's to a credit to the person that you want another person in your life, because I had that bond.
Yes.
He was my friend, my lover, my, everything. And you missed that. I think if I didn't have a great relationship, I would say I'm done.
Right.
But let's just say I am open to the possibilities.
I believe that it can happen. Absolutely.
Without question.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, I worked with with Wayne and
He was
many times.
great.
I did weddings, and he also photographed, my first wife, my late wife, Darcy.
Do you know, Sharon and I were at your wedding
Yeah.
with Darcy. Yes.
Yeah. So I was married for 23 years. We were together for 25 years, and Darcy had a long battle.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Had a long, long battle. And so much like what you went through, James, too. I mean, we had a chance to prepare for it. It wasn't like a thing, but still doesn't make it any less.
You went
Jerry
through
was
the same
thing.
sick for
Yeah.
It was long.
Jerry was sick for 11 years.
Yeah. Darcy was sick for a long period of time as well. But when she passed away, I never got angry with God, realizing that I never owned her, that she was on loan to me. None of us own each other. But I knew that I was open to dating again. And within 6 months, I was out dating a lot over the summer because I knew that I had way too much love to give. And it was honoring Darcy because I had such a great relationship with her.
Yeah.
And even, with Patty, my wife now of, 17 years. I married the love of my life twice.
John,
Twice.
picture that
What
you
a
post. I urge everyone to look at your Facebook page, because he has a picture with his now wife, Patty, with her daughter.
Yeah, Lindsay.
And Darcy took the picture. It was at a concert.
At the Oakdale Theater.
That's right.
It was when Brooks and Dunn and Trace Adkins were there for the opening of the new Oakdale Theater. And, and Patty, my wife now, had won a contest to go to the concert. And Darcy and I, my first wife, and I were there as well. So Patty was one of the winners. She was there with Lindsay. And we all had dinner together backstage. And my late wife took a picture of my now wife that was on her living room table for years.
Imagine.
Wow.
Imagine that.
That's
This gets
wow.
So, I mean, that was all
I
orchestrated
know.
Yeah.
behind the scenes
100%.
by God, anyway.
100%.
So I really rate that.
Sure.
That was destiny.
It was
That
destiny.
yeah.
Makes no mistakes.
No,
Right.
he doesn't make mistakes at all.
No mistake.
But I know
So
that
never give up.
never get up.
Never give
Never
up.
give up.
Yes.
Never, ever, ever. If it happened for James, it happened for me, it can happen for you.
And say yes more to things. If somebody invites you or go
Or
pay with
asks
that
you
check.
to
Sure.
come be on a podcast.
Yeah, see, this is an adventure.
And the whole
it's an
thing is you could
adventure.
always make a new friend. And,
Yes.
and Patty and I have always said that before. Even when I was dating before somebody wanted to get together, I always say yes. Because I can always get a new friend. Like you said with your mom before, you could always go out there and just chat or have dinner.
Right.
And if it doesn't work out, you move on.
That's it.
But I'm always going to say yes to making a new friend.
Right.
You can never have enough new friends or acquaintances.
It's true. I recently, not that recently, actually, for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been singing with a gospel group here on the Shoreline. It's called Shoreline Gospel. And we have 2 concerts a year. It's run by a wonderful, wonderful lead singer. Her name is Angela Clemens. And
Worked with Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin. And
she has amazing background,
Phenomenal.
and she's a phenomenal person and singer.
Yep.
And she's put together fabulous songs for us to sing at these concerts. We sing either at one of the churches in Guilford or in Madison. Another one in Branford occasionally, and we even have a Jewish church that we go to in at Christmas time and do a mini concert. And so I love to sing. My mother was a singer, and she gave me that blessing as well as my sister. Yeah, there's 6 of us in a family, and we love to sing. And I'm enjoying this gospel concert. I've met so many new friends there, so many amazing things. We just had a concert, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, in Guilford at the Congregational Church, and Angela, brings the house down, fills the church. It's incredible. And gospel music is just amazing. It's a little different than regular songs that you might hear, but beautiful stuff. And I
love the energy. I love it too. I love the energy.
She's incredible.
And the thing is, like you were saying before, you make a lot of new friends. So that's, if you're looking for a friend out there, get involved. You love music,
exactly.
Get involved in a gospel chorus. Do some community theater. Go out there, do something. There's all these programs with the rec centers in your town. Mm-hmm. There's so many bus trips.
Yeah, your local papers usually have something that's going on.
Bus trips to go see a show in New York City.
Or even a movie night.
Yeah, or a movie night. So many great ways. So you don't have to go through life alone. Right. That scares a lot of people, to be alone. You know, especially good. Yeah. So we pray for you that you find that special person too, because we certainly did, Joyce, didn't we?
We got lucky.
We got lucky here. We found the special person. But how about our special friends right here that came back for a second edition?
Very blessed to have my friend.
Same here. I mean,
I love you.
I love you too. Yeah. I know you do because you showed up today.
Happy together, baby, like the turtles, you know. But thank you so much for tuning in, watching, listening to What's Good with John and Joyce. You can find us on all the streaming platforms. Please tell a friend about us, especially with this episode about friends, because there's always hope for all of us. We pray for you and your family and only the best. And thank you so much. And you've always got a friend in us here.
You do.
John and Joyce.
And please subscribe. That's how more people will get to see
us. Subscribe. Tell your friends about us.
We love you. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jay.